welcome to my channel. Well, sorry I didn't put up anything last couple of days. I hadn't been feeling well, but I'm feeling better now. And yesterday was my birthday, so I'm officially a senior citizen now. You know, when you're young, you're like, I can't wait till I'm 18. Used to be 18 was legal age for drinking and stuff. And then I can't wait till I'm 21. I'm officially considered an adult now. And then you got this long gap where there is no celebrations, you know. And then when you reach 65 here in America, you're officially considered a senior citizen. So, whoopee! Anyways, when I got this one, Toby and family sent this one D-Guard Bowie knife to me, and I was looking at the Confederate flag on it, you know, and I was wondering, why do some have an American flag, you know, and some have a Confederate flag when they put it up there? And I started looking into this. Now, let me say this before the little trolls out there, or whatever they are, start saying, that's not accurate. I'm just reading the stuff. I'm not spouting this off as 100% correct. If I'm wrong, you can go ahead and verify it. But the Confederate Armory, all right, so Bowie knives, the sandbar fights happened in 1827, all right? The Civil War was in the 1860s, and then they start going out west and doing a lot of stuff in the 1870s and 1880s. So that's kind of like the timeline. The Colt single action army, you know, like the Peacekeeper that everybody is used to seeing, that gun didn't come out until, you know, like 1870s, early 1870s. So for the longest time, you had a single shot pistol or rifle, and it's not like, you know, we've got cartridges nowadays that go pow, out comes the shell, blah, blah. No, you had to sit there and do basically a reloading process, you know. You had to pour in the powder and then put a ball in there and then some kind of wadding, and if you're going to be carrying it for a while, there would be a wax, you know, coating around it so you wouldn't get chain fire around the cylinder. So if this one fires, the fire from this wouldn't go over to this one, and you'd have all cylinders going off at once, which is not good in the gun. So before the advent of repeating weapons, larger knives were used more often because you had like one shot, you know. You didn't have time to sit there. If something was up close trying to kill you, you know, you had one shot. So a lot of times the knife was it. Now, I was looking into knife balance also, and it depends, you know, it depends if you're going to throw the knife or not, but it has other things to do with it. A knife balance, this one's balanced like right up here. This one would be hard to throw because of the hand guard, you know, the D guard. Your hand would get in the way. And from what I've been reading about throwing knives is if you've got to throw a knife that's off balance, throw it from the light end, not from the heavy end. Because a balanced knife, if the knife is perfectly balanced, it makes sense. It wouldn't matter whether you grabbed it from the blade or the handle. Either side would be perfect with balance. And when it goes through the air, it would make a nice, perfect little circle because each end weighs the same. But if you get one off balance, like blade heavy or handle heavy, then you've got to, it can still be done, but you've got to predict where it's going to land. That being said, I just want to say this is not a throwing type of knife. This is like, the D-guard is like from a cutlass from a sword. And they just incorporate it in there because it gives you the advantage, a couple of advantages with a D-guard and some disadvantages, but the main advantages are in a fight, this is like a set of brass knucks. You crack somebody upside the skull or face. Please don't tell me that was never done in combat or anything. But see, that's the lingering effects of a negative person gets in there. Even though they're gone, you can still hear the little tiny mind screaming out at you. I like the way this is curved forward. Look at that. Guess what you could do with that? you know. It's a good thumb rest too. Now, the sheath that came with this one is not leather. You know, you can tell it's a synthetic material, but it's done very well. They even cut this down here to match perfectly with this when you close it. And this gets out of the way. You would think, that's going to get trapped if you need to open it. No, when you just go like this and pull, all that comes out of the way. Doesn't really, you know, slice anything on its way out. Now, one of the first things I was going to check, since I had them, was with the hardness tester. And I expected it to be like the rest of them, because this is, I think it's made in Pakistan. And we know how they do with their steels and heat treats, usually. This one came out at 50, which surprised me. But yeah, it came out at 50, not 55. Or 50 is not bad for one of these. I just was goofing around with some cardboard, and I went, Hata! And this thing went all the way through an Amazon Prime box and into the floor. The tip, this much of the tip went into the carpet. And I was just playing, you know, like, and then I did a drop test, you know, where you drop it, kind of see how it's balanced. It starts to lean, you know, to one side or another a little bit if you're dropping it from a distance. But, you know, once again, I'm dropping knives and doing all this stuff barefoot, so I had to be kind of careful. But all in all, I like this one. Now, another thing, if you look at a lot of knives that were made, I've got some pictures of them. Most of them are stick tangs. I don't care how big the knife is, you know, it tapers down, and then it comes to a threaded part where they can attach stuff. The advantage of this one is this handle feels really good in the hand, and the reason is there's no transition this way. The way they do it, it looks like as they drill, you know, and then they slip this other stuff on and bolt it on. So you have nothing really to smooth down or worry about. It feels smooth all the way through. It's pretty cool. I like this one. Now, you know, a lot of Bowie knives, you're not necessarily going to be using these things for survival, but you could, because really, most of the time what people were using, like hunters and cowboys and everything else, were, you know, like butcher knives, like kitchen knives and stuff like that. There was a brand called Green River. I think it's still around. It was associated. This is magnetized. Wow. It's been around this over here on the vise over there is a big strong magnet that I used to hold stuff. Anything gets near it gets magnetized. But anyways, getting back to this. This one's supposed to be stainless steel. And I haven't tested it yet, but that's a pretty good leaf spring we got here. And the handle, like I said, is good. And this fits my hand. I mean, like I said, I got a small to medium-sized hand, like a size 8 glove. And there's plenty of room for your knuckles if you got big, beefy hands, and plenty of handle space. Ooh, I was just tipping this down. We don't have a wide-angle lens on this camera. Now, I could still use my other camera and film, I guess, if I need a wide angle. Probably what I should do. This thing came fairly sharp, too. I cut myself just a little bit, just checking the edge. I was just going, and I cut myself. Not a whole, you know, didn't gush blood everywhere. So this one I won't be tossing around and throwing for a couple of reasons. I might, you know, but it's pretty cool. It's got a nice sharp spine on the back. Would be good for ferro rods. And I like the blade shape. It's not as blade deep heavy as some of the other type ones, but it's more of a straight on. And if you think about what these were originally made for, which is, you know, they kind of become an all-purpose kind of knife. Really, they say, though, in the 1800s, a lot of people didn't have, once you started getting multiple shot revolvers and everything, people didn't need as big of a knife, you know. They started becoming more like EDC knives. They started getting smaller. And throughout it all, people would have, like, you know, jackknives and pocket knives and Barlows and stuff like that. So there you go. That's my take on this one. I really like this one, this Bowie knife here. I'll put up pictures of the weight and everything. Like I said, the sheath is, it's like simulated leather, and there's some kind of like foam in here. But it's done, it's fairly sturdy. It's done fairly well. It's all stitched nicely, and you know, you've got this simulated animal hide in here. No, it doesn't smell like any animal. Oh, you would think a synthetic animal would smell like a synthetic cow, but no. And it slides in here in the sheath fairly easily. There's no problem. It only goes in one way, you know, of course. And then you put it through here. Now, this is a loose retention on here, but the way this blade is done, nothing, this is not sharp and this is not sharp. So even though it slides back that far, there's nothing that's going to stick you. You have to go, they use a good 2 inches up here, you know, for finger choil or whatever, and then this thing before it gets sharp. And we've got, I don't know, they got the dimensions. I think we've got like about an 8-inch cutting edge. As far as yeah. You got about 8 inches of actual cutting edge. But then 10 inches in length, you know, as far as the overall blade. I've seen a lot of knives do this sometimes. Sometimes they just put the handle right up here. And then other times they get this, I know part of this is for like a finger choil if you wanted to do that. And if your hand slips, instead of a circular loop, you know, to help hold it, there's just nothing sharp right here. You know, you'd have to go pretty far before you could cut yourself if you had a grip back here. Yeah, I know, this was for pulling out of dead bodies. It was never used for anything like that. But anyways, that's a pretty cool knife. I like it. Doesn't weigh too much. And it's got a pretty good balance to it. It is a slightly blade heavy. They said for like even on balance of knives, not just for throwing, they say for like for a chef knife or something like that, you would want the knife to be a little bit handle heavy because it keeps the blade from just touching the table automatically if you're holding it. They say a balanced knife, a perfectly balanced knife like one right here in the center. Where's the balance? This one's back here by this first pin. A balanced knife feels better in your hand. You can work with it longer. You're not fighting it. Your hand won't fatigue as much. Stuff like that. But anyway, there you go. There's a little couple of quickies on. Yeah, they were popular. D-guard Bowie knives were popular. I'll put some pictures in of some Civil War guys with the Confederates liked these a lot. And they call them, what'd they call them? Yankee killers or Yankee stickers? And you could see some of them were, the ones that they had were just like comically huge. You know, I mean, this would look like tiny one compared to the ones they've got. But, yeah, there you go. Let's slap in some pictures. Just thought I'd give you an update. What's been going on with me. Getting older. Every day. Getting older. So, there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.